So mixtures, because they have two or more different substances, can be separated. And mixtures are separated based on differences in physical properties of the components. This could be things like solubility or boiling point, the state of the matter. So like the sand and water. The water and the sand are in different states, right? The water's a liquid, the sand is a solid, and so that can be separated by filtration. Distillation can be used to separate things based on differences in boiling points. Solubility is also a physical property, and we can separate things based on their solubilities. Volatility is evaporation technique. And so you could separate the salt dissolved in the water by evaporating the water. The salt will not evaporate. And so you can separate them based on that difference in their volatility. So here's a couple of illustrations. This is distillation. So here we have a mixture of salt and water, and we're going to heat it up, and the water will boil, and the water will go into the gas state as steam. We're going to collect it. This condenser is a tube with a jacket around it that we run cool water through it to cool down and condense the water, hence it's called a condenser. And then the water's going to run out here and we can collect the water. The salt is going to stay behind in here. Salt does not boil or melt at the temperature that you can get with a Bunsen burner. So after all the water has evaporated, boiled away, and been collected over here, you're going to be left with salt in the flask and pure water over here. Distillation can also be used to separate two liquids that have differences in boiling points. So, alcohol and water is the classic example. And the moonshiners, they had stills out in the woods, right? They were fermenting things to make alcohol, and then to separate the alcohol from the rest of that stuff, they would distill it. I can't always remember what all these animations are. So, saltwater solution, homogeneous mixture. So what has happened in that distillation is that we've taken this saltwater solution, which was a homogeneous mixture, and we've separated it through this physical method into salt and pure water. When we do that, there is no chemical change involved. When you separate a mixture, you do not have a chemical change in either of the components of that mixture.
What is the difference between distillation and evaporation?
What's the difference between distillation and evaporation? That's a good question, because in a way they're the same. I think distillation generally involves that you're actually actively heating the solution, whereas evaporation is more that you're just letting it happen. I think that's probably the essential difference. Filtration, this is something that you've probably done in your kitchen. If you make coffee, or if you make spaghetti, or boil anything in water. So here we have an example of a mixture of a solid and a liquid. And we're pouring it through this funnel with a filter paper. This is a lot like those little 1-cup coffee maker things where you just have a funnel with a filter in it and you pour boiling water over the coffee grounds. And the filter catches the coffee grounds but allows the water to go through. So they're separated based on differences in physical state. Same thing happens when you boil a pot of spaghetti. So you have your spaghetti and you've got it in the water, but now you just want the spaghetti, you don't want all that hot water. So you use a colander, a big bowl with holes in it. A colander or a strainer. You put it in the sink, you dump everything in there. The water goes through the holes, the spaghetti doesn't go through the holes. And so you separate it based on its state. So here's just an overview of the organization of matter. So matter is, we've got mixtures, homogeneous or heterogeneous mixtures. Those can be separated by physical methods into pure substances, which is the other category of matter. Pure substances are compounds and elements, and we can separate compounds into elements using chemical methods. To turn a compound into elements involves changing the particles. A physical method of separation doesn't involve changing the particles, you're just separating them. So that's kind of an overview.